So check this out. This is why geometry is such an important discipline anyway in understanding reality. It's why the Egyptians, like so many ancient cultures, used it as a form of mathematics to do a lot of what they did. Geometry is right-brained mathematics because it's not so much about defining absolutes like assigning numbers to angles and stuff like that, as much as it is about recognizing the logic that is inherent in the relationship of one form to another. And just like you cannot define absolutely anything about this reality, geometry is meant to be looked at in terms of relationships rather than assigning absolutes. And so that's why it is useful for helping one to conceptualize what this reality is, because it doesn't get you caught up in the left brain intellectual inability to fully understand reality. So if you look at this slide, we have an example of how it is you can conceptualize what energy is and the forms that it takes. So on the left we have a wave, which is, I believe anyway, energy caught in a standing wave. Just like when you go back to the video of the salt on the sheet of metal, all those designs and stuff are similar to what this wave is. The wave is energy caught in a standing wave brought about by the movement of mind, or the vibration of consciousness or mind itself. Now, the wave itself is a concentration of energy, which itself is ultimately undefinable, so we're not even going to try it. On the right part of the slide, you have an example of what a particle is. A particle is a further densification of energy, or wave energy. And when waves cross each other, just like in when you vibrate a three-dimensional liquid, you get standing waves, but in 3 dimensions, not 2 dimensions. So in more than 2 dimensions, the still points, or the points of rest in the vibration, are called nodes. So you can sort of think of a particle as a node in multi-dimensional vibration. And a node is what you connect in order to make geometry. So in this slide on the left, you have, in 3 dimensions anyway, an example of what a particle is. So a particle is energy caught in a node, which I was just talking about. On the right, you have an example of how geometry is formed from multiple nodes. So really, what geometry is an attempt to describe the vibrational frequency of a particular frequency of consciousness. In other words, whatever design a particular form of geometry is, it is an attempt to describe that vibrational frequency of consciousness itself. So we're going to see how that's used in a lot of different things. If you look at this slide, we have a bunch of different, these are all, I believe these are, the 2 on the right are Buddhist mandalas, and I think the one on the left, which is the Sri Yantra, is Hindu, I believe. But the point is, the geometry that is present in the designs is an attempt to describe this resonating frequency of consciousness itself, which itself produces a particular experience in the person who is experiencing it. So all the angles and the triangles and stuff are all just like that video with the salt on a sheet of metal. Depending on the frequency of the note influencing the stuff that is being affected by that note, the designs change. So the designs in this geometry are actually attempting to describe that frequency of consciousness that is present in the one who is practicing meditation. Now, the sound Om, which is, I'm sure everybody's heard of that, is actually meant to help catalyze and trigger in one's own experience, or in one's own consciousness, the experience of the average cosmic vibratory frequency that is present throughout the universe. Now, the experience of that vibratory frequency is one of unification, because you equalize the rate at which your own consciousness is vibrating with that of universal vibration. And so the experience of that is being united with the all. It is being united with everything that exists. It is the experience of oneness. This is getting close to understanding what the Creator is, because this experience right here is how it is we go about gaining knowledge of the reality of what this thing we call Creator is. The Creator is the ultimate source of all energy, and the ultimate source of all energy that is in movement. And energy itself is nothing more than consciousness in movement. So that which is called Creator is the ultimate source of consciousness and the movement of consciousness itself, the experience of which cannot be defined, but it can be described. But it is best that we experience it for ourselves. The chakra system, and I'm sure we're probably familiar with that too, is describing the same thing. And even the colors that are associated with the chakras are actually describing a relative vibratory frequency of consciousness itself. And of course, that particular vibratory frequency produces a certain knowledge or experience in the one who is experiencing it. So check it out. On the top of this slide, you have the visual spectrum of light, what we're able to see. And right underneath it, you have the chakras. The chakras are actually going from left to right. So the one on the farthest left is the one that's on the bottom, and the one on the farthest right is the one that's on the top. The one on the farthest left, the chakra, is the red. It's the base chakra. It is awareness of reality or participation with reality that is base and based in the idea that physicalness or physicality is all there is to this reality. Now understand that physicality is nothing more than a perception of this reality. The reality of what this stuff is known when you move into the higher chakras, which is when you ascend in vibratory frequency, when your consciousness speeds up. When it speeds up, just like we were talking about, the designs change. The holographic synthesis of the sensory information that is being passed to you changes. You are able to receive more information from your environment because you are aware of the fact that there is more information hidden in the experience, even though that experience cannot be ultimately defined. So, when we look at the chakras in this slide, we go from red on the left all the way up to blue and then purple on the right. So the colors are showing the relative vibratory rates at which these aspects of your consciousness are operating. The geometry that is present in each chakra design is also a description of that vibratory rate. So the last chakra on the right, which is if you do it vertical, is the one farthest, is the one on the top, is called the crown, or the chakra of pure consciousness, and its color is actually purple. Now, purple is a mixture of red and blue, which means that it is a completion of a cycle, but the cycle does not come back to rest in the same dimensional experience, i.e. physicality. It becomes, it actually is moving into the lower vibrations of the next dimension above physicality.